that he had come to be sorely disillusioned with Donald Trump. I think then this was from both from a political side and an agenda side, and from a personal side of having to work with Donald Trump, which I think is maybe the ultimate in trying experiences. But I also think that he had a plan here, and the plan was that he was going to get Roy Moore elected in Alabama, and that would have made Steve Bannon the kingmaker and Donald Trump the loser, giving Steve Bannon an enormous amount of leverage going into the 2018 election. And my book, I suspect, was part of his plan to break with Donald Trump, who, frankly, he considers an idiot.
But it seems, from Mr. Bannon's point of view, he seems to have backfired then on that plan spectacularly. Do you feel any sympathy for him, particularly what's happened with Breitbart?
Yeah, I mean, I feel an enormous amount of sympathy for Steve. He clearly did not intend to be where he finds himself now, and I think that he only has found himself because Roy Moore, who got accused of a range of sexual harassment offenses, proved to be such a terrible candidate. Otherwise, Roy Moore would certainly have been elected, and Steve Bannon would certainly have been a kingmaker. But, you know, in politics, things sometimes go astray. At the same time, I would anticipate that that Steve has a plan or will make a new plan.
Okay, we might not have seen the end of him politically. I want to get back to the kind of template the book offers us for understanding, if that's the right word, what goes on in the White House, with reference to what I talked about a little bit earlier, what's gone on in the last week. The cancelling, which is obviously played very large here, the cancelling of the visit to the United Kingdom to open the new US embassy, and of course those comments about developing countries, whether they're shitholes or shithouses or whatever the president did or didn't say. Would you see that as a deliberate strategy of distraction, or it is just what comes out of the White House every day?
Well, I would say it's just what comes out of his mouth every day. It's uncontrollable. It is, I mean, I think he has a sense of the responses that he can reliably produce, but not a strategy about them. This is a president beyond reason, beyond control, beyond expectations. It is a president and a presidency that clearly, in every possible way, on every possible reasonable terms, doesn't work.
But presumably what you know about the president, what you've seen in terms of how the president operates, you wouldn't be surprised that he did make those comments about Haiti and African countries in front of lawmakers?
Surprise? No, he makes these kind of comments all the time. There's nothing new here. This is part and parcel of what Donald Trump is, of his biases and prejudices and thought patterns.
One other aspect I wanted to touch on, I mentioned there the cancelling of the visit to open the the American embassy in the United Kingdom. He said it was because he disagreed with the cost, he disagreed with the location, and he disagreed with the fact that he thought that President Obama had ordered it. But do you think there's a deeper reason there? That perhaps, and you mentioned it in your book, perhaps the president still holds a grudge against the United Kingdom?
I think the deeper reason is that he felt he would come to the United Kingdom and not receive the love he believes he deserves. And I think that he was probably supported in this decision by the people around him, because they know bad things happen when this president does not receive the love he believes he deserves.
But I was also referring to the visit you described by Tony Blair, former Prime Minister, meeting with Jared Kushner, when he may or may not have offered him a tidbit about the possibility of UK intelligence agencies spying on the Trump campaign. And that really set the president off, didn't it?
Yeah, well, it certainly did. I mean, all of anything that has to do with, well, with the Obama administration and what he perceives as their enmity toward him, anything that has to do with any information related to the Russian investigation. He is, you know, when he feels that people, again, are not according him proper respect, proper proper love, proper regard for him as a legitimate president, he goes crazy.
And I've got to ask you about some of the pushback against the book, in particular the focus on some of which I know you've admitted already, some of the inaccuracies in the book, some even indeed of the misspellings in the book. Do you think that invalidates the whole?
No, let me. The only thing this is inaccuracies. I'd like to just say the only inaccuracies are typographical errors. And of anyone who has ever written a book always regrets typographical errors, and they will surely be fixed in future editions of this book, of which apparently there will be many.
But you do seem to put the White House press corps' noses out of joint.
I seem to have, yes.
And what you talk about in the book is that they seem to have normalised the abnormal, that what perhaps, 12 months ago may have seemed absolutely extraordinary, we're now accepting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very hard from the beginning. The question has been, how do you cover this president? And I don't think that anyone has supplied a satisfactory answer to that yet. I mean, I think that I had the luxury of not having to write this on a daily basis, not having to keep up with the explosions today that make you forget about the explosions tomorrow. I could stand back and write this story, over a 7 or 8 month period, and I think give a sense of the forest for the trees.
And just lastly then, Mr. Wolff, I mean, given you've been up close and personal with him, I mean, it's also difficult even for you to answer this, though, but do you think he'll last? Or certainly, do you think he'll stand again?
I go with Steve Bannon on this. A 30% chance that he will be impeached, a 33.33% chance that he will be impeached, a 33.33% chance that he will resign in the shadow of the 25th Amendment, and a 33.33% chance that he will limp to the finish line, but a 0% chance that he will have another term or even run for one.
We will make America great again.